welcome to The Stinger, a superfan's guide to Marvel, Star Wars, and much more in fandom. I'm Josh Gann, and with me today, as always, the gang's all here for today's episode. It's our favorite co-hosts, Trent, Neely, and Joseph Snead. How we doing, guys?
I'm excited. We're drafting today, and drafts are always fun.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's fun.
Joseph is here. We can see his shining face. It's a glorious day on the Stinger podcast, and it's draft day. First, I just got to say to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. As always, you can find us on social media at the Stinger Pod, Instagram and TikTok, especially. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow us on YouTube now, also at the Stinger Pod. Thank you all for being here. We are gonna have a really fun, very wacky, very experimental episode of the Stinger today. So little intro for you real quick. I know draft episodes are some of our favorite to record here on the podcast. We've gotten some really good content out of that stuff, and today we're taking the draft concept and we're flipping it on its head. We normally are cutthroat competitors going for the trophy, jumping off the top rope, doing some RKOs. Like we are competitors, but today we form a team, and the topic today, we are going to be building what we consider would be the most fun spy movie. Yes, we are building a spy movie. Why? There's been a lot of spy content, espionage genre content out there this summer with Mission Impossible coming back. We had Secret Invasion. There's a very large gap in the quality between those two projects. But today we're gonna flip this thing on its head, and we're gonna say the three of us will unify as a team to fill out a roster, a cast, a plot line and setting, and all the narrative elements that you need to form a movie. And we're gonna build it together. So Trent and Joseph, how do you feel about this journey we're about to embark on?
I think this is gonna be so fascinating because I feel like we're gonna start off like what people would think like spy movie people are and stuff, and then one of us is just gonna take it so far somewhere else, and then we're all gonna have to like veer.
I know us. I know our nerdy, in-depth knowledge, and I know there's a few of us on this podcast that like the element of surprise and chaos. So it's gonna be fascinating. Trent, as we get into this thought exercise, you're a man of cinema. So tell us, what are the elements that make a quality spy movie or TV show?
So generally, what you want is you want to hop around to a couple different exotic locations, right? You never stay in one spot in a spy movie. Like in the first Mission Impossible, they're in like the Czech Republic, and then they get or where are they? Prague? They're in Prague. Then they go to like London, and then they go to like France, and and then the other movies they go to like Dubai at one point. So it's like you want some hopping around to some cool places. Um, and then you want some sneaking around. You gotta get some valuable information. So usually there's like sort of a heistish element of like we gotta sneak into this place to get this thing, and then there's always like a double cross or a surprise of some kind. It's like actually this person's bad, or you weren't actually stealing the thing for the good guys. You were doing this for the bad guys all along. And everybody's just cool, right? Like everybody's cool in a spy movie. I think those are sort of the very reductive, but in brief, those are sort of the main hallmarks of things people are going for.
You nailed you hit the hammer on the nail squarely, Trent. That is perfect. You want to be bouncing around. You want nice locations. You want surprise. You want shock and awe. And I have a feeling we're going to create some shock and awe on this podcast today. I know for myself as I was preparing for today's episode, thinking about spy movies, and this is a fandom podcast. I think my favorite spy movie might actually just be Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Ooh, It's
It's
a good
just
one.
it
It is a
was
good
meant
one.
to be an espionage thriller, and it was that and so much more. And it's just iconic in my mind. Um and
Yeah, and Marvel had a great track record with espionage and spy stuff at that point.
if only they had stopped there. Yeah, you may you may need to prepare yourself, audience listening, that this is continuing to be a Secret Invasion dunk fest on this podcast, so just be prepared. All right, with that being said, I'm going to lay out the way this is going to work, the procedure and categories, and how we are going to make our way through this podcast. So, what makes what logistically makes a spy movie? All right, we need our character archetypes, and the categories for characters are: we need our main character spy, we need the spy's partner, we need the quote unquote guy in the chair, and it doesn't have to be a guy, but the typical phrase of guy in the chair, person behind the scenes who is pulling the moves and has the intel, but is not exactly in the line of action. We have our weapons expert. We have our hand-to-hand combat expert. Every good spy movie needs a villain, and typically those villains have a henchman. I put in the villain's assassin here. I was thinking about Winter Soldier, and good old Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, is absolutely the villain assassin in that movie. And those are our characters. And then we wanted to add in some plot elements. So every movie, that we need a setting, we need a win and a where. We need the spark or the inciting event that's going to set off the chain reaction of events in our movie. We have a major secret, and we also have a plot twist. So these two elements might overlap a little bit. We might get some double crossing picks in our draft today. And then lastly, we have a character who's biting the dust. Who's going to be killed? Who is biting the dust in our movie? Almost every spy movie has, unfortunately, one of our beloved characters bite the dust. Guys, what do we think? What do we think? Is this a good ground rule to start this process on?
Yeah, I think this is a good core roster of the types of people you're going to run into in your spy movie or show.
Yeah. All right. So how this will work? We've determined the categories. We just laid them out, and me, Trent, and Joseph, we have specific categories that we are going to pick. So it'll go our draft order: Trent first, me second, Joseph third, and we will go one by one, picking the select categories that we have been assigned to draft. Now the kicker is we don't know what each other are picking until we make the picks live on this podcast. So we did not have a brainstorming session before this to try and make a cohesive film. This is where the chaos will reign supreme. Okay, so think of this as like a Mad Lib draft. We are a team creating a Mad Libbed movie cast, and we're gonna see how this goes. So like, I know the writer's strike is going on right now. Disney, Warner Brothers, if y'all are desperate for ideas, just tune in. We've got an excellent movie brewing here on the Stinger today. Okay, any questions, Trent and Joseph, before we get started? Are we ready to get this thing going? All right, let's make some movie magic. All right, so let's start our draft with Trent. And Trent, you have the honor of selecting our team leader. Which character from across fandom or pop culture are you going to select to be our team leader in this movie?
There's a couple different ways you could take this. There's been many leaders in pop culture. There's been people who can give the strong speeches. There's been people who can fight really well and also lead people. But at the end of the day, you just want somebody who can do seemingly the impossible, who will do whatever it takes to get the mission done, who's going to climb up the Burj Khalifa, who's going to jump out of planes. That's right. I'm talking Ethan Hunt, as played by Tom
That's
Cruise
right.
in the Mission Impossible franchise. Because I think Ethan Hunt, even if we get some wacky, wild characters from like the Marvel universe, like he's gonna figure out a way to make all that work together. Like he's gonna get the job done no matter what.
Excellent pick. I mean, he's got a proven track record. 7 movies in. I mean, the dude just gets stuff done, and he gets as close to dying as possible without actually dying. And that could be true. That could be said of Tom Cruise as well. Joseph, what are your thoughts on this pick? Good pick? How do we feel?
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen any Mission Impossible movies, but I
Bummer.
like Tom Cruise. Maverick is good, so
That's honestly great. That means we're going that truly means we're going to get chaos on this draft. We could go.
oh yeah, this was definitely a mistake.
I can't wait. Oh God, Joseph, I can't wait to get your picks. Okay. Well, our first pick is on the board. Ethan Hunt, an absolutely great team leader. Exactly who you want, someone who is unafraid. And I now have the honors of picking Ethan Hunt's partner. You think about the person who's going to be closest to him in the line of action. They have to have an undeniable chemistry. And so I'm all right. I know Joseph that you're going to surprise us, but I'm gonna attempt to surprise us as well. And I'm going with a character who may be short in stature, but he is absolutely tall in heart and wisdom and in his like cunning nature. He just is undefeated. Actually, this character is undefeated. When you look at his resume across all of his appearances in the project that he's associated with, he doesn't lose ever, and he's just cool. And that is why I am going to select Ethan Hunt's partner to be Agent P, Perry the Platypus.
Yes.
Our favorite platypus
That's a good one.
secret agent in disguise from the hit Disney Channel series Phineas and Ferb. I'm not gonna lie. When I thought of this idea, I couldn't help but immediately think of Agent Perry the Platypus. And I you know what? He might not talk, but his work speaks for itself. So that's my pick. I can't wait to see the chemistry on screen between Agent P and Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise. They're both men of just absolutely wild adventures. So I can't wait to see them in action. And Joseph, it's your turn now. Can you one up us with why don't you tell us what category you are picking?
So I am picking guy in the chair, and I've had a couple of options. My one that I stuck with for most of the way so far has been a character from at least one Avengers movie. He's not the one I'm picking, but I want to give him a shout out. Galaga guy from the
Oh
first
my
Avengers
gosh,
movie.
yes.
That's a great pick.
So,
I mean, not a
so
pick,
it's not
but
him. And then you think about guy in the chair, you got to think of Ned from the Spider-Man movies. But for guy in the chair, I'm going for a different Ned. Ned from Jurassic Park.
ooh,
Wait.
The guy that like turns the fences off and gets eaten by a dinosaur, eats all the candy because he wants to sell the dinosaur blood.
Oh my
Ned from Jurassic Park is my guy in the chair.
Awesome.
Unbelievable. I totally forgot about this guy. What an
Ned's
obscure pick.
Ned's gonna send this off the rails too, because if you remember, the whole reason he sets everything up in Jurassic Park is that he's like massively in debt. So like during the whole spy mission, he's gonna be like, "Guys, we got to pull this off. I'm like 30,000 in the hole. Like we got to get this done."
That's great. As if the high stakes of our mission weren't enough. Let's throw in some gambling debt. That's definitely a good mix. Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. So Ethan Hunt, Perry the Platypus, and Ned from Jurassic Park. What an absolutely murderer's row right there. This is off to a fascinating start. Trent, you are back on the clock. Why don't you introduce your next category?
So my next category is the weapons expert. And so for this, you want somebody who can use a variety of tools, Like there's different weapons to use out there in the universe, and you want somebody who can sort of pick anything up and use it perfectly at any given moment, no matter what the job is. And I think for this one we got to go with fan favorite of the Avengers franchise, whether he's in New York or hanging out on his farm. I'm going with Clint Barton,
Ooh,
Hawkeye from the Avengers, as our weapons expert.
very nice. Clint Barton's a great pick. I I wouldn't have thought of that right off the top of my head, but you're right. He's got like first of all, like the
He teaches Haley Steinfeld how to masterfully flip a coin to do whatever it wants. Like anybody who can do that can use anything as a weapon. In my opinion.
that great point. I was thinking about that because I'm like, well, obviously bow and arrow. We obviously know that, but
Right.
like, what else has he shown us? He also pretty nice with a sword, as we see in Avengers Endgame. Like, what weapon?
He can use a gun too.
That's true. That's true. What weapon could we throw Clint Barton's way? What's an obscure weapon we could throw his way that we think he could handle?
You know what? After seeing it happen in John Wick 4, I would love to see Clint Barton with some nunchucks.
Nunchucks are like, gosh, those things are scary. You ever held like a real like nunchuck? Those things are terrifying.
I watched TMNT as a kid, and I was like, those look so fun and easy to flip around. And then as an adult, I'm like, oh, these things look like super violent and super scary.
To use, Joseph, are you about to pull out nunchucks on the screen?
Yeah. Actually, I think I remember where they are.
Unbelievable. Unreal. Joseph, what are you doing? What are you doing with nunchucks? You hold them up one more time. Hold these. Wow.
He's got them,
What
people.
is...
Joseph's ready.
Yeah, you can hear him.
Apparently, I should have drafted Joseph.
Yeah,
My bad.
apparently, Joseph's the weapons expert that we needed.
He's gonna be my trade deadline. I'll be like,
well, about 2 feet to my left, I've got Thor's axe, and then back there's a lightsaber.
Oh my gosh, you really are a weapons expert.
He's ready for anything.
We made
folks.
All right, we need a redo. Did we get one redo in this draft? Yeah. I see. My problem is, yeah, exactly. My problem is, I would be too afraid of whacking myself in the face with the nunchucks if I ever got my hands on a pair. Like I would be the person to concuss themselves from using nunchucks. So, wow.
So what was the conversation while I took my headphones off? Were you guys like, he's not about to pull out a pair of nunchucks?
That Josh realized it when you sat up. He was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I could see the look on your eyes, and I'm like, I know what this means. I know he's about to pull nunchucks out on camera for us right now. All right, Clint Barton is our weapons expert. Excellent pick, Trent. I love it. He's definitely well trusted with a bunch of weapons. All right, and that brings me to my next pick, which is the hand-to-hand combat expert. Now, there's a lot of different ways I could go with this pick. All right, so like when you think of a combat expert, you need someone with a entirely different skill set than Clint Barton. Clint Barton is he's got to be distanced from the action itself so that he can use his probably weapon of choice, bow and arrow, to success. So I need someone who is going to be in the heat of all the action. Who's not only going to be able to go initiate attack, but is going to be able to defend themselves as well and kind of parry other people's attacks. All right. So I need someone well equipped, well trained. And as I was thinking about who do I pick right here? A certain character came to mind who absolutely amazed me in the best way possible when I saw them in action on screen. And this is I am going to pick a character not from the Marvel universe, not a superhero of any kind. I am picking our favorite alternate universe version of this character, and that is Waymond from the Alphaverse and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
when
Yes.
our guy Kiwi Kwan shows up in the IRS auditing office and takes a fanny pack off of his waist and starts using it as a weapon, I was blown away. I've never been more mesmerized by hand-to-hand combat in my life than watching a fanny pack be used to destroy your opponent. And so I thought of him, I'm like, that's who I want on my team. He can use whatever he needs as a weapon in hand-to-hand combat. And so I'm very excited to add him to the roster.
Excellent choice. There's one moment, Joseph, where he like whips the buckle into somebody's nose and then like throws them down to the ground, and it's just like the most wild thing I've ever seen.
So
It's so cool.
This is a dead serious comment. I also have a fanny pack to go along with my nunchucks.
We don't need a team,
Joseph.
guys. We just need Joseph. Like
Joseph, stop showing us all up. Okay, we get it. We know you want us to pick you. It's fine.
It's like
okay.
a bright blue and pink Guardians of the Galaxy fanny pack.
Of course it is. Oh my gosh. Of course, that's incredible. I love that. Where'd you get a Guardians of the Galaxy fanny pack? Is this a Disney purchase?
Don't worry about it. I got it at Disney World.
Okay, yeah. I figured it was a Disney World purchase. That's awesome. That's incredible. All right, Joseph, that means you are next. And why don't you introduce to us what you are picking?
I've been given a great responsibility in picking the villain, and I almost I've had who I want my villain to be set, but I want to give a shout out to another villain I thought about, Agent P's nemesis, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. But he is not the one I've picked. I've picked one a little bit different. I picked a villain that when I think of a spy movie villain, this is who I go to every time. You always got to have a plan. He's a recurring character in this series, and one of the things everybody knows about him is that one of his preferred methods of action is scaring people with freaking sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads. I'm going Dr. Evil.
yes.
Dr. Evil is the villain we're going for in this spy movie. I love Dr. Evil. He's hilarious. And yeah, we're going off the rails a little bit, but I don't care. You guys put me in charge of the villain, and I'm taking Dr. Evil.
This is fantastic. So I'll be honest. I'll be honest and say that I've never seen the Austin Powers movies. Okay,
Ooh.
you can sue me now. Trent, tell me, how good of a pick is this for our villain? What do I need to know?
This is great. I mean, because basically, like, Dr. Evil is like a spoof of Blofeld from the James Bond franchise, so it's a spoof of the original, like, spy movie villain, so that's why this works on so many levels. But also, like, Dr. Evil's so great because he's frozen in cryosleep from, like, the 60s and then woken up in the 90s, and so when he wakes up, he's like, I have an evil plan, but all of the evil plans have, like, happened in real life, so they've already, like, he's like, we're gonna make it look like Prince Charles had an affair and he and Diana are getting divorced, and they're like, that already happened. And he's like, okay, well, we'll tear a hole in the ozone layer and greenhouse gases will slowly build, and they're like, that already happened too. He's like, you gotta tell me these things. I've been asleep for 30 freaking years, okay? Like,
and then he's got a line. They bring him out, and I can't remember what it is, but he's like holding the world. So he's like, I'm going to do this unless you give me $1 million.
Oh,
and his son is it's Seth Green, and he's like, you idiot, get $1 billion. And he's like, why make billions when we can make millions?
I do know that moment.
So he's just hilarious, and the names of some of his plans are so, and the shapes of some of the stuff that he makes his satellites into, or it's one of his plans is Preparation H, because Preparation through G are used. And Trent, what's his other one?
I forget all the names. They're
Because
so good though.
he always makes a new plan that has this like double entendre, and
Yeah, they all do.
one of
Yeah.
the satel- one of the satellites he makes is a, a phallic shape,
Yeah.
and so they just go through all these
Amazing.
different euphemisms to be like that satellite looks like a, and uh, so Doctor Evil, like Trent said, he's just like a spoof of like a classic James Bond villain, but it's so funny and it works so well. I just love Doctor Evil.
Well, you know who he reminds me of as you talk about him. It reminds me of Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I'm not gonna lie. So there's a little
There's some
bit of overlap
similarities,
there. There's some similarities, I think.
and I think
Okay,
another honorable mention for villain would have been like Megamind. You
that great honorable mention. Sorry, he'll be a free agent. He'll be an undrafted draft pick for someone's spy movie. Like absolutely. Trent, you are next.
Yes, so I have the honor of picking the villain's assassin or henchman or however you want to phrase it, and I'm gonna paint a little narrative picture for this one, guys.
Oh
So,
yes.
so we're in the middle of the second act, presumably, and our team are going in to maybe steal some information from a safe, and it's behind these double doors, right? And then all of a sudden, the double doors open, and you hear choir music, and the double-bladed lightsaber comes whipping out. That's right, Darth Maul is Doctor Evil's villain, assassin, henchman.
just
Mainly
the
because I want to
total
see Tom
clash.
Cruise
the dynamic
fight with Darth Maul.
the dynamic between Dr. Evil and Darth Maul too. Like I want to know how they got into a partnership. That's some backstory that I need.
the
Right?
That's
the Darth Maul spinoff is going to open up like you're wondering how I got into this position. It was because of Kenobi. And he just like has
Promise.
another mental breakdown dealing with Doctor Evil.
Gosh, what a great pick, Trent. Okay, this is a good moment because we're exploring the thought experiment now. All right, we've selected all of our characters, so let's do a quick little run through. All right, once again, our team leader Ethan Hunt, our his partner in crime, Agent Perry the Platypus. Our guy in the chair is Ned from Jurassic Park. Our weapons expert is Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. Our combat expert is Wayman from the Alphaverse, from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Our villain is Doctor Evil, and the villain's assassin, good old Darth Maul. Good old Darth Maul. And so
Sorry.
so so that is our cast. What do we think? What do we think? What are the dynamics you're most excited to see fold out on screen?
You know what? I think it's so funny, but like I think weirdly like Ethan Hunt and Agent P would actually like work because it's like Tom Cruise would just be like, "Go jump off that building," and Agent P would just be like, "Got you," and like with no hesitation, like would just do it. So I think that actually works well. Um, I didn't think of this till after I drafted him, but Jeremy Renner's actually in one of the Mission Impossible movies, so that
Oh,
probably
you're
weirdly
right.
works too. Um, I think Ned would be just so funny because that like the mission's trying to happen and Ned's just like roasting them and again talking about his debt. Like he's like, "Hey, I tried to steal some dinosaur embryos once, guys," and they're like, "Shut up, Ned." Like,
Joseph, what character relationship are you most excited for in our potential movie?
Agent P and Darth Maul probably.
yeah,
Because
that would be duel of the century right there.
yeah, I mean, if you give because Clint Barton's a weapons expert, so he's got to have a lightsaber, and
Right.
we've seen the Star Wars Phineas and Ferb thing. I mean, if you give Perry the Platypus a lightsaber versus Darth Maul, it's gonna be like a better version of Yoda fighting the Emperor,
Oh my
because
gosh.
Yoda
Oh my gosh, you're right.
has the little green lightsaber. So Agent P would probably be like flying around everywhere, using all his technology, and then I do think Doctor Evil and Ethan Hunt would be interesting because I haven't seen Mission Impossible, but I know it's kind of like, I guess Ethan Hunt's kind of like the the straight man spy, like
Yeah.
the take it serious type of spy.
Hmm.
Doctor Evil is not. So just kind of seeing, I think maybe Doctor Evil would show a little bit of cracks in Ethan Hunt just because he's getting tired of dealing with Dr. Evil's shenanigans.
I was gonna say, Trent, you're the expert. How does Dr. Evil rank among Mission Impossible villains?
Oh, I mean, he's better than some of them, truly. Like he has more elaborate schemes than at least I would argue like 2 of the villains in the actual Mission Impossible franchise. So I think he would actually put Ethan Hunt on his back foot a little bit.
Just imagine the perplexed look on Ethan Hunt's face when he goes from fighting AI to Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
I mean, what, honestly, like, is artificial intelligence more intelligent than Dr. Evil?
No,
That's the question.
I don't think that. I thought, humanity can't know. Maybe we're pitching Austin Powers 4 right now. I know Mike Myers has said that's in development like for years. So I would love for Dr. Evil to like create his own AI, and it's just like a floating head of like Mini-Me or something. Like,
Trent, you remember in Goldmember, Tom Cruise was playing Austin Powers.
That's right. He plays Austin Powers in the movie about Austin Powers. That's right.
So they're making an Austin Powers movie, like in the Austin Powers movie, and Tom Cruise is playing Austin Powers.
Wait, that's incredible. Oh, that's perfect. Look at the crossover, guys. This is unreal.
It's like I'm really proud of
us. It is like we planned it.
That's great, because man, I would kind of love to see Tom Cruise just play a serious spy in an Austin Powers movie.
Yes,
because I think it would sounds be like hilarious.
It would be. I think Tom Cruise has the comedic chops to pull it off.
So, I mean, it's very profane, and this is a family-friendly podcast. But Tropic Thunder, Tom Cruise exists, and like, so we know he can be funny. Like,
that's right. That's right.
Lex Grossman, baby.
Do we the hypothetical Perry the Platypus Darth Maul duel is really stuck on my mind. Do we think Agent P is force sensitive?
Oh no, I think Agent P is like so awesome that he defies physics and he uses like a broomstick against Darth Maul, but it works. Like I think that's how cool Agent P is.
Oh my god, you're right.
Agent P is like if Wile E. Coyote was always successful. Because he always gets tricked by all these schemes, by all the Acme schemes he gets on the Roadrunner.
Right,
Agent P is like his antithesis.
That's a great comparison. Oh my gosh, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, I think I could see Agent P coming up with some pretty creative ways to dismantle Darth Maul, like a Force user. Like he's just like he's just kind of the whole package. You know what I mean? Like weapons expert, combat expert. He's got experience working solo. He's kind of the full package. Okay, so
you know what would be hilarious in the Darth Maul and Agent P thing is Darth Maul gets the upper hand and Agent P tries to run around a corner to kind of regroup, and Darth Maul chases him. But Agent P gets around the corner first, takes his hat off. Darth Maul looks at the platypus and is like, "Have you seen someone that looks like you but wears a hat?"
Yes. Oh, that would be perfect. Gosh, I would love that. I would love to see that. Okay, so that's our cast. We've got our cast of characters. Now we're going to move into the plot and setting and some of the narrative elements of our story here. So, important first step is deciding what is this movie about? What in God's name has caused these characters to come together, to work together, to stop a certain evil from happening for the common good of society? And so that is where, I'm not gonna lie, I based this a little bit off of one of my picks. That's where I came to the conclusion that I now know who my villain is, and I think the villain fits my plot narrative pretty well, actually. So Dr. Evil, joke him for all of his like ridiculous schemes and poor planning of names. Joke him for whatever you want, but guess what? He's uncovered something. He's uncovered a secret, and that is that there's an alliance of animals across the world who are in disguise, and they're pets to their families. But in the hours of the day in which they're not home, they are secret agents. And Dr. Evil has gotten one of these characters, one of these animals, on film, switching from pet to agent. And he plans to reveal this to the top government agencies across the world, that there is a secret that must be unveiled. The secret agent pets across the world are about to be exposed, and that is the spark that starts our team to go off to recover this video file. What do we think, guys? Is this a good? Am I heading us in the right direction?
I like this because this is right up Agent P's lane. But
Yes.
but yeah, like Tom Cruise, like, you know, Ethan Hunt doesn't want those beautiful little animals exposed. Like, so he's got to keep them safe. I can buy that for Ethan. Yeah, this works.
He's an animal lover at heart.
And to me, this plot almost sounds like something you'd see in a Fairly Odd Parents story, where Mr. Crocker has video of fairy godparents and wants to reveal it. So then, like, Timmy and Cosmo and Wanda have to go and stop him from revealing the video.
Yeah, honestly, you're not too far off. All right, Joseph, you are next. You're going to pick for us our setting. So the when and where of this, and you could have multiple locations, like Trent kind of alluded to at the beginning of our podcast. So why don't you guide us through your decision here?
So I gather that we have someone who has potentially access to the multiverse.
Yes, you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to start off, and Dr. Evil has gone back in time to a circus in 1968 where he got the video from. And then he jumps forward, and the rest of the story takes place in the zoo that the animals from Madagascar are at.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, great. We get some cameo crossovers here. Gosh, I would love to see our Madagascar friends here.
Because you know who's going to team up with Agent P, right?
This is what I was about to ask. Who?
The Penguins.
Oh, yes. I was going to ask, like, which of the Madagascar animals is most likely to be an undercover agent?
All the penguins. Just all the
penguins.
They're,
Right?
they're basically their own, like, I don't even know if they are, but they're like a paramilitary unit. Like, they're just...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They're the special forces of Agent P's department.
There we go. We got it.
Oh my gosh, let's go. Way to connect the dots, Joseph. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right. Great choices. I love a good multiverse movie. And I think we could arguably create a more compelling story than Multiverse of Madness. So I'm excited for the possibilities here. Trent, you are up next, sir.
You know, a major secret is the next category, and is my final pick contribution to this beautiful creation we've made. And I was stumbling on this for a little while. I was like, what would be a major secret? And you know what I thought? Well, because I know we said like Darth Maul was a henchman, but you know there's other hench people, there's other thugs, there's other supporting characters in this too. And what if tragically somebody died in like the middle of the movie, but when they died, they suddenly turned into a green alien? What? Oh my gosh, what's happening here? Skrulls have invaded this spy movie, and the Skrulls also want proof of the alien footage and stuff. That's right, secret invasion is happening within our spy movie.
Well, we could definitely write a better secret invasion than Marvel did.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point here. This whole exercise was to get to a better secret invasion. Okay, follow-up question. Which of our cast is most likely to be a Skrull?
Tom Cruise.
Not even Ethan Hunt, just Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna make that amendment to go off Joe's Austin Powers thing. Tom Cruise, separate from Ethan Hunt's, also in this movie, and Tom Cruise is.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that. Excellent. Yeah, he is the most like. Yeah, absolutely. No one jumps off of a motorcycle going off a bridge and survives unless they're an alien. I mean, the government just confirmed there's aliens, so I mean, like, come on now. All right, man, that is intriguing. All right, so I'm next, and I get to. We already basically have one plot twist, but why not throw another in there just to complicate things even more? All right, so again, I'm getting really focused on some of my picks here, but we know that the central plot of this movie is about recovering the video file that's going to expose the allegiance of animals who are undercover spies. And when we think about our team, obviously, Agent Perry the Platypus, he don't want that. His precious owners, Phineas and Ferb, the whole thing is that they never know. They never know that he is an undercover agent all the time, right? So obviously he's motivated to get the file stopped. But you know who else is motivated to get this file from going out? It's actually not a member of our cast. It's actually Agent Perry the Platypus's arch nemesis, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Because what is his whole entire existence based around? It's about having these daily battles with Agent Perry the Platypus. And what would happen if this video file was shared with the world and then he was exposed and he could no longer be the secret agent that he wanted to be? Well, then their daily battles stop. So what does Dr. Doofenshmirtz do? He creates the Erasinator to erase this file from existence and saves our precious Agent P and Ethan Hunt and team. That's my plot twist.
That's incredible.
That's my plot twist. So I'm very satisfied with it. We'll see if the producers can get on board with such a high stakes plot. And that leaves us with one final selection. Joseph, take us home.
So, in the big CGI climactic battle at the headquarters of the animal agents, something happens with the power, and in the depths of the building, there's an emergency room, not like a hospital emergency room, but like a room for emergencies, that you're not supposed to open the door. And painted in red on it, it has a big letter D. When you open the door, you find Agent D, the dinosaur, and he comes and eats Ned while he's on the toilet.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Joseph, that was incredible.
Yes. I'm here for it.
Incredible. Wow, what a great way to end this. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. I'm sad to see Ned go, but it also feels like the right choice for this movie.
Of course, I guess it was someone else in Jurassic Park that got eaten on the toilet, because
it's the lawyer, because Ned gets acid like spit in his face and gets eaten by the dinosaur with the frill thing on it.
Yeah, that's right.
That could be our agent. I mean, he could still wear a hat.
No, I like it though. I like the combo of Ned and the lawyer.
I still like the callback to Jurassic Park with the guy getting eaten off the toilet.
It's a great moment.
It's like an iconic moment. All right, so that's gonna conclude our draft. We guys, this was incredible. I can't believe we did this. How do you all feel with our results here?
This went like zanier, but also like it kind of worked. I actually think like genuinely like better than I thought it was going to.
I mean, we? Go ahead, Joseph.
The major secret of Tom Cruise as a Skrull, that's like the least out there thing of this entire draft. Like if
that
it came out tomorrow
in
the news, if it came out in the news, Tom Cruise is a Skrull, like, oh, yeah, I get
that's
that.
why he's so crazy. Yes, that makes sense now. Okay, yeah, he's not afraid to die because he wouldn't in our atmosphere. I think we're on the path to multiple Oscars. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I foresee us breaking box office records too. I just think this is a winner on all fronts. So, um, that's going to conclude our draft, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this wild thought experiment, and we will post the results on social media for everyone to see, so you can see our full cast and our full plot narrative. Um, and then maybe you, the fans, can help us decide on a title for this wonderful movie.
Ooh, I like that.
It might be a little difficult to come up with one on the spot here, but if you, the fans, feel so inclined, please feel free to comment with your titles of what this movie should be called. But I think that's going to do it, and we can now head into our Watcher's Domain segment. All right, here we are. Welcome to the Watcher's Domain, our recurring segment where we get to talk about what we have watched in fandom or other pop culture in the past week, and give our little bit of a mini review on it. And so I'm going to kick us off today, and I'm going to talk about something I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I finally finished in the past week, and that is the Apple TV Plus series Silo. So if you didn't hear that episode, Silo is actually based on a series of books written by I'm gonna blank on his name now. I think it's Hugh something. I'm truly sorry for forgetting the name, but look up the Silo book series. I know the first book in the series is called Wool, but it's an excellent fiction series, and the whole premise is that these people have been hidden underground in a silo for years, and they don't know why. And there's a huge, big mystery as to why they are not allowed to live in the outside world. And this is taking place on in a future Earth. Um, I finished the series, and let me just say, this is like it's definitely. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's perfect, but it is easily one of my favorite shows of the year, like hands down. It was a show that like was gripping from the first episode. It has one of because it's based on a short story that led into the novel series. And that first episode is like electric. It's starring it features two characters who aren't in the rest of the show really, except in flashback, but it's so good and told in such a tight narrative way. And then we launch into the rest of the series where a new character gets introduced and is our main character for the rest of the show. It is a mystery, and it's a bit of a thriller. And honestly, as I was watching it, I was like, this feels like what Secret Invasion was trying to be, of like this week to week, like who done it, and also like revealing bigger secrets about a larger universe. And it's not necessarily spy and espionage, but it's a mystery. And I did not see so much of what unfolds coming. Like, it was truly like surprising to me. I watched it in a binge format. I can't imagine watching it week to week, like waiting for each episode to come out. I think Apple TV did an excellent job with the sci-fi genre here. I can't wait for season 2. This is just one of those extremely good at world building shows, extremely good plot and intrigue. This is one of the best like narratives of any TV show that I've watched all year. The performances are really good, and again, it leaves you wanting more. Season 2 could not get here soon enough. I love Silo so much. I highly recommend, if you have time, to go watch it if you have the Apple TV Plus subscription, because it is worth the investment. Very, very fun time. You're going to be left with a lot of questions and a lot of intrigue, and I loved it for that reason. So very positive review of Silo here from me.
Nice.
And then we'll tag you on next, Trent. So you're up next.
Yeah, so guys, football season is starting up here. We got the preseason in full swing. And then a couple weeks ago, we got a nice little treat from Netflix that nobody knew they were doing. I'm talking about the Netflix series Quarterback, which followed Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota through the entirety of the 22 football season. So they were mic'd up for every single game, and it followed them a lot off the field as well. And yeah, this was just a really well done show, because obviously it's cool to see the in game audio and like see how actually calling a game and playing a game works. But it's really cool to see Peyton Manning produce the show, and he talked about how he wanted to show to his kids that like their dad wasn't gone just to play football one day a week, that it was like a full-time job, and all of the like exercise and learning play calls and all that thing that it takes to actually do a football game every week. And that picture is painted so well, I think, with the series. And obviously they couldn't have picked, I don't think, three more interesting narratives to follow from last season, because obviously Mahomes and the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl. You had Cousins, who's been reliably good every year of his career, but had sort of that magical season last year where the Vikings were playing better than they ever have. And then they had the biggest comeback in NFL history against the Colts. And then the Marcus Mariota stuff where he had sort of this resurgence, and then they had the downswing, and then he sort of disappears from the team halfway through the season here. So yeah, I just think it's a really compelling Netflix series. I gained a lot of respect for all three of those guys, what they're doing on and off the field. I think if you're a football fan, definitely recommend this. And even if you're just a fan of like people who are at the top of their career or their craft, whatever you want to call that, if you're just fascinated by people who are really good at what they do, I think it's really worth checking out. So that's Quarterback on Netflix.
That's awesome. I'm very intrigued by that show. I love how they just happened upon picking like basically the top of the league, the middle of the pack, and the bottom dweller, like in terms of franchises. And I think that's an interesting concept to explore. So very very intrigued to go watch that. Joseph, why don't you round us out?
Especially
What
with
you got to report on?
well, another interesting thing is, you know, they followed the Chiefs in a Super Bowl season. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's crazy.
you know, the fact that they picked the Chiefs led to like the NFL is scripted. You know, people thought that like they're like, there's no way they happened to pick the Chiefs. Like,
Yeah.
yep. But mine is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Um,
Yes.
I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan, but I like the Ninja Turtles. You know, I've seen the three movies from the '90s, some of the animated stuff. The last Ronin comic that they put out last year, the year before, was just incredible to read. One of the better comics I've read. Um, but yeah, I just kind of randomly remembered about this movie. I'd forgotten it was even coming out. And last week I was in Richmond seeing a couple of friends for an illustrious disc golfing tournament. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to go see this Ninja Turtles movie? We didn't have anything else to do on Friday night. And I said, yeah, it's getting some good reviews. So we went and saw it. Great time. We had so much fun. Um, it was kind of a different take on the turtles. So they actually got teenagers to voice the turtles this time, which I think worked really well. And from what I've heard, they put them all in the booth together for the recording, and so you could feel the kind of the chemistry between the brothers. And there's scenes in the movie where they're all trying to explain stuff to either April or Splinter, and they're all talking at the same time, trying to get their words in. And you could tell that they were actually there together doing it, and they're playing off of what each other's saying. Um, there's a scene where a character gets nervous in front of camera, and I was howling with laughter in that scene, and so was everybody else in the theater at what was happening. And there were so many jokes that just hit perfectly. It was such a good time, and they didn't. So Shredder was not the main villain of the movie. It was some alien, or not alien, but like mutated bug that was the villain. So it was kind of a different thing than we usually see with the turtles. It was a great time, and it's been kind of a fun year for animation too. That isn't, you know, Disney's not just cleaning house with animation anymore. We've got the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I loved, Spider Man, which I loved, this movie, which I loved. So it's been fun seeing some of the different takes. The animation style is very similar to uh, Across the Spider Verse, with some very distinct differences in the way that humans are kind of designed. The turtles look really, really good. Um, Splinter in this movie was also a very pleasant surprise because I was not expecting how Splinter was going to be in this movie. He's not like what you see in some of the other movies. So, yeah, I just had a great time watching it.
Voiced by Jackie Chan too.
Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
It was so much fun, and just kind of seeing a new take on the turtles, because it's a modern take on the turtles, so they're like playing on their iPhones, and one of the one of their driving motivations is like, we want to go to high school like regular kids, and they walk into this like nasty, disgusting high school, and they're like, "This is the greatest place ever." So,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was a lot of fun. Also, a different take on April that I really liked personally. Casey was not in the movie, but whatever.
This is very high on my watch list because it's like it. I'm not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan by any means, but I have fond memories of like watching them growing up, and it just seems like one of those like it just seems like an idea that should work, especially as just a fun kids movie. And this seems like this movie does that and more, and so it's very high on my list. I can't wait to go see it.
And so it's like what you're saying. It seems like something that should work when it's something that on its premise should absolutely not work. Of premise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is just absurdity at its height. Because
Right.
you could say, okay, we have teenage turtles, but they're also mutants and they're ninjas. And it's like, what was this person on? They made this stuff up, but it works, and I've always had a good time with the franchise, even though I don't get very deep into it. But um, yeah, it's fun. It was a fun movie.
It sounds like lots of fun. So, well, that is going to wrap our episode today. This was an absolute blast, and I just already like I'm like I want to do another one. This was so much fun. Thank you all for listening. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you can listen wherever you get your podcast, and find us on YouTube, find us on social media at the Stinger Pod. You will be hearing more from us soon.